Set Piece Podcast. Hi everyone, I'm Miles Weston.
And I'm Kerry Phillips.
And this is the Set Piece Podcast.
Where we talk about everything to do with football, mental health and well-being. Miles, do you want to introduce our next guest?
Today, we got my good friend, Josh Hare, teammate. Well, you know, Josh was, when I was at Gillingham, he was in the youth team, so I've got a lot of...
so this goes back deeper than just Hornchurch.
Yeah.
So
I had to watch him play for a whole year.
Oh my days.
So we got history, but Josh, welcome, man.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
happy
you for
that
having me.
happy that you could come on and share your story and be here with us. So we appreciate you coming on, man.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks very
Josh,
much.
gotta ask you first and foremost.
Yeah.
What was it like watching him growing up? What was it like? What was he like?
Be honest, Josh. Be honest.
It's a little bit annoying because they won the league as well that year.
Okay.
That was the year, like, so we were watching nearly on every game. And it was nice for the youth team at the time because it was nice to see them actually. Gills has always been a bit of a struggle in terms of they've not always had good success. And that was one season where it was just brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think
that team were ruthless in a way. I think that's probably the best way to describe them.
Do you know what it is? I think you see, when you win the league, everything's... Well, not even just win the league. I think when you're winning games.
Yeah.
When you're winning games, I think everything's like a lot better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you're in a situation where you're losing, then the club, the fans, everything's just a little bit more tough. But when you're in a situation when you're winning, it makes it easier.
Yeah, that first team that year, they were just like, you had yourself. I mean, Brad Dack, who's gone on to do really well.
Yes.
He was young at the time, though.
He was. He done really well.
Through.
Yeah.
Had some experienced players.
Adam
Barrett.
Barrett. Oh, my captain definitely was top.
I remember that season more for how tough it was for the youth team, though.
Right.
Martin Allen was in charge of the football club at the time.
Right.
And the first team were flying, and he was in charge of near on anything at the football club. But it was a good experience, but a one that you remember as it was tough.
Yeah.
He put you through paces, but
do you think
great
that
experience.
Do you think that kind of helped you in your career though?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. At the time, you thought no, like it was tough. Like I remember one day in particular, I got a text from the assistant manager, I remember Schofield at the time. He texted me at must have been 5 o'clock in the evening before, saying, "Can you be in for 6 o'clock tomorrow?" And the first thing you're away somewhere, I can't remember where.
Mm.
And I'm like 6 o'clock, like in the morning, like we were in for 9.
Oh, in the morning?
Yeah, in the morning. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
No, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, my dad was at the club at the time, but had gone up above, had gone like to the, I think he was just in charge of the academy. I went to him and went, what's that about? I went, I actually don't know. So I've gone in at 6 and went into the office with Martin Allen, and he had me, Brad Dack, and a lad called Sam Uggleton at the time.
Yeah, Muggs. Yeah.
And we were all stood there in front of him. Like I'm looking at Brad like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? And Martin Allen just went, right, you're going for a 4-mile road run with Scoff. He'll be on the bike. I was like, what? Like, 4? And he said, and I want winners. And he used to, I don't know if you remember going into the office with Martin Allen, you should just sit there and just go...
Yeah.
He used to just take these big deep breaths, and you have to wait for him to do it, and then he'd start talking, and he's like, and I want you to win. And he's looking at me in the eye like, you got to win it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like a race between me, Brad, and Sam.
How old were you at the time?
19.
Yeah.
19, 20. And I just remember thinking to myself, Brad can beat me because Brad's doing well at the minute, but I'm not letting Sam Uggleton beat me. I said, I'm not coming last, whatever happens. But Brad ended up winning. I came second. I remember Muggs like halfway. This is 4 miles. I've never done a 4-mile road run in my life.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that?
It was just mental.
He was like that. But
can you break someone? Was the best way to describe it. Yeah.
Do you know the thing is, one thing about I give Martin Allen, he believed in us, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, like he believed he could pick any team and win. Wow. And it did happen. Like he basically did do that.
It became like a regular thing. Once a week we would do, or maybe it's even twice a week. I mean, I did twice that day. I did 2 road runs. Yeah. Because the first team game got cancelled. He got so excited about us doing this road run that he then got everyone to do it again. Like the whole youth team ended up doing it, and it became a regular thing. Like across the season, I must have done about 20 of them. Like just. Yeah. He would do.
Did it help you fitness-wise?
It's the fittest I've ever been, and I think Westy knows. I've obviously spoken about this with him before. Like that year was tough, but it changed the way I thought about how my body would adapt to. Right. Does that make sense? Like I thought differently about. I can go further than I ever thought I could.
Yeah,
right. In terms of mentally, like I wasn't going to let him break me.
Yeah.
So I got past that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think there's pros and cons to it, innit? Like some people might not be able to take that stuff, but this is the era that we come from.
Yeah,
that's the era. I come from that era. Like like now, obviously that probably wouldn't have been being allowed, but I'm so grateful. I've experienced stuff like that, and it's mind over matter.
Yeah,
like it's mind over matter. Like you have to be mentally strong, especially in that era that we come from. And I only feel like it's gonna shape you for the rest of your career, especially when you're young.
I mean, I caveat that with like Naifle, who's one of my good mates. You remember Nathan?
Yeah, I remember Nathan.
Nathan had to retire, and I'm not sure that wasn't necessarily to do with he was running roads every day. He ended up retiring with a hip injury.
Okay.
Was that the reason? I don't know, but I bet it didn't help. But he was pounding on the roads every day at a young age. I don't think that probably helped him in that year. But like you say, like you just had to push through that time. But that's why I remember that year 4. If anything else, I know you ended up winning the season and watching Westy play every week. But I remember that year more for that than anything else.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So where did football start for you before?
I mean, young age. Academy Chelsea.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's before all the millions of dollars got put into it. But it was a shared training ground with Fulham at the time. Like Chelsea and Fulham was shared. Yeah, and that's from 8 to 12. And I got released there at 12.
Right.
But it kind of set me up in terms of like just technical. Yeah. Like they were like bang on anything to do with technical side of the game. That was huge in terms of my development, I think.
How did you get to there? Was you starting the
grassroots? Yeah, Canterbury, Surrey Blues was where I started off like young. I think I was playing in a tournament with my cousin Jake. Jake Santalo, who I mean, Andy was a big part of my growing up, and my dad obviously. But we'll probably get into that at some point. But yeah, I played in a tournament at Surrey Blues with Jake, and we both got scouted that day. And I think Jake initially got signed before me, and I think I had to go back up. I think I went up and had a trial. It must have been only 7 or 8. And I don't remember them saying. I think I went back and just played with my Sunday League team for a little bit longer, and then I went back up again for a second trial, and that's when they then signed me. So it was a couple of goes at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was quite. I remember the first time around. I only just have images of what it looked like. I remember being up there and being quite overawed by the whole scenario. I think it was a bit better when I went up and just trained. Yeah, just with the squad, if that makes sense. It was loads of bodies. Like it was like a trial day, if that makes sense. I remember the first time around. But that's how I ended up at Chelsea. I think it was just lucky. I think that's always the case. You're just in
the right
right place at the right time.
And you got released from Chelsea, you're saying.
Yeah, at 12, and then went to Palace for a bit actually. Crystal Palace.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I loved it there, to be fair. And I think I would have stayed there longer had the travel not been really tough. That was.
Right.
Okay. I think it was the National Sports Centre at the time, which for me, I'm a Kent.
Okay.
So it used to take me hours to get into from after school. It was tough, and my mum was having to take me. So I decided in the end, look, we've got Gillingham on the doorstep. I think that's probably a better fit for me, just to try and build from there and build, hopefully, going into full-time football, which.
Were Palace in the Prem at that time, or were they?
They were in and out. They had a little spell in the Championship. I think they went back. It was like the Neil Shipley times. I'm sure it was. I remember him up top. I think they got him back up into the Premier League. But it's still the same training ground as it was then. That little one around Copers Cope Lane. It was a great little club. Great setup. I think I was close. I would have been. I think they were going to offer me to go into like the 2 years to go to scholarship level years. So they had that 2 years at 14, don't they? Like that takes you up to under 16. But yeah, it was too much to be up there that amount of time, and the driving was killing me.
So for me, it kind of shows that like you were mentally aware from young, because like correct me if I'm wrong now, like younger players now, they wouldn't maybe necessarily leave to say, I don't want to stay at a Palace to go to a Gillingham now.
I think
do you know what I mean?
I think the big thing with that was my dad being involved in football.
Right. Okay.
I think. He spoke to me about it, and look, I think I would have obviously loved to stay at Crystal Palace, but I also think he understood that it wasn't the be all and end all in a sense of you're going to be sat in a car for that amount of time, for a long time, for 2 years. You've got something on your doorstep, which won't be any real difference in terms of what you're going to get in terms of quality and upbringing. So yeah, I think that had a big part to play in it, and I actually think that was the right thing for me.
That's good.
Especially because. Was I going to be a Prem player? Probably not. But at the same time, I think, I think it was probably the better fit in a sense. Can you be a bit of a bigger fish in a smaller pond in the scenario, rather than maybe just be a struggler. Does that make sense? And I think I would have been at some point at Palace. I think there was so much going on there that
I was in the same situation. I think I've said this before. I had Arsenal and Charlton.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them was in the Prem, but going to Arsenal 3 times a week, 4 times a week was killing my dad. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got to be there at 5 o'clock. He's leaving work early just to get me. So yeah, I understand what you was going through, and obviously what your parents was going through, because it's tough to do that. Like, obviously you want to give everything to your child, but if they're sleeping in the car and then you ask them to get up and train, it's not even fair. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Getting back, like the times I used to get back from the National Sports Centre,
crazy.
That's properly into London. Like, to be fair, Crystal Palace's training ground is actually on the outskirts. It's not too bad, but I used to have to go past that to get to training.
Yeah.
So
and
that was
now,
another 40 minutes on.
Do you know the rules now? You have to live within an hour.
Yeah, I don't think I was in that.
Or you can't sign for that club now. That's the rules.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't in that bracket.
This is it. So because they do that to protect the child and the parents.
I mean, I remember I had to memorise maps to get me and my mum to get to the national. I had to memorise where I was going, so I could even make sure my mum could get to training.
Your dad was focused
of course.
So
He was out of the equation really. He would be at training the same nights I was, but obviously at Jill. So it made sense to be where my dad was as well at the same time. Does that make sense? Because I could just then get to training quite easily, go with him, and it was a good club. Gillingham is a good club.
Very, very good club.
So it wasn't really necessarily a tough decision in that sense, but you obviously, like you say, it's probably a little bit like not a lot of people would do that nowadays. If I've got Crystal Palace, okay, let's just make the decision to be closer to home and know that you're gonna.
And look, you've had a great career from it. Do you know what I mean?
I will always say I think that's down to having a dad that understood it, uncle in football. I think they understood what needed to happen to get the best out of me as a person. Yeah.
And can I ask? So what role was your dad in football?
So he's always been. He was at Gills for a long time, but under 18 coach. He went up into the academy and did the academy manager for a little bit as well. But I always said he's one of the best coaches I'd ever even had as a young lad.
So did you ever play under your dad?
Yeah. No, he was a youth team manager for a while. It was tough.
Yeah, what was that like?
It's tough. You obviously always want to argue back with your dad, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Like he'd shout at you from the side, and then the first reaction I wanted to do was hang on, and then argue back. And I'm not that way inclined, but I actually think we handled it well, considering. I think there was a good relationship there, a good enough relationship. I mean, I'm a business partner with him now. I don't know if we'll get a chance to touch on that, but I work with him now, so I think there's always been that respect level between me and my dad that it was easy enough to handle. But
let me ask you a question as well, because you see when your dad is the manager, did the rest of the team give you any stick?
I was going to ask.
Did you get any stick from the rest of the team?
There was. I also think they. I mean, I was in the same youth team as Brad. So Brad
respect. There's respect.
Yeah, there was respect there. I do think that. I think you have to work that a little bit harder. You have to work that little bit harder. You have to you have to prove that you are worth, or you're meant to be there, and that you're as good as the boys that are there. And I think that's always been something I'll say I've been proud of myself, as I've always worked as hard as I could to get the best out of myself. I think that's so. Yeah, I think they even started from then. But it was an awkward one, but at the same time, it was actually quite nice to have him there. And there was time I moved on after the youth team, and he was still youth team manager, and it was. You kind of moved past that, and I had to kind of make my own path then at that point.
But he gave you all the tools and the resources to kind of help with that, which is.
I mean, there was a mixture. Then my uncle becomes the manager, so Andy Hessenthal was then the manager of Gillingham at that point as well. So you got that bundled into it as well. It was a lot.
So you got your dad and your uncle.
Dad and my uncle at the club.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if you wanted anyone to, or if there was going to be any talking going on, it happened, and you just had to get past it and move on. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have that, parents and all that sort of stuff, and that's part of football, really. But you have to do your own talking on the pitch. I think that's all we always tried to do.
Did you ever feel any kind of pressure to make it because of who is in and around you? And you said your cousin, correct me if I'm wrong as well. Did you ever feel like that?
Not necessarily. I think it made it harder. I do think that. I don't think that my dad was one of those parents that was like push me towards it. If anything, my dad would be like, I'm not staying out of it. Like, I think if it made it tougher. I think he would be probably the last person to push me towards it. my dad was always my toughest critic and still is now.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
My uncle's was the same. So I think they would overthink it, if anything. Right, Jake,
Yeah.
for example, I think Jake, when he got to his time, was probably later than he should have been, because I think he actually did really well. But again, I think they overthought about the fact that Andy was at the club, my dad was at the club, that he actually should have been offered the opportunity to play in the first team a lot sooner than he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I played obviously a couple of games at Gills before I got injured, and I think at the time I'd work myself with loans and things like that. I'd work myself to that opportunity. So I think it was tougher, but I think, like I say, sometimes it actually becomes more of a hindrance in your career than it does a help, depending on the people involved.
What about pressure on yourself? From yourself, not from your parents. Just like, did you feel any pressure that you put on yourself because obviously your uncle and your dad was there?
I don't think it was added by them. I've always put pressure on myself. I think I've always had it's almost like a fear of failure. Really, I think that's been a massive part of my career, and I wish if I could talk to myself going back to when I was younger now, is to not have that. And to just play without fear.
With freedom.
I was crippled by it. Like, especially, I feel like I'm so much better now than I used to be. I used to be like, I go to games and even youth team games and be like, I can't make a mistake. I can't.
Right. Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I think it sometimes gave you an edge in terms of like that nervous energy. I think you have to you use it to your advantage, and I use it a lot better than I used to. I think, especially at a young age. But yeah, I think if you were talking to yourself now, back then, I would definitely say that fear of failure. But I don't think that was necessarily down to my old man and uncle being there. I think they just put that on myself and wanting to do well.
And I can see that you've obviously used at Gillingham for like 4 years, but within that you had quite a few loans.
Yeah.
How was that process in terms of like being at Gillingham and then going on the loans and stuff like that? Was there any particular loans that stood out for you?
Probably I remember the Whitstable one. So I went to Whitstable. This was probably one of the first, maybe second loans off. I remember I went to Hastings, Lewis. I did so many at that time.
Maidstone we got down here.
Yeah. And they were huge. And I say that to anyone, even the boys that we speak to at Hornchurch now, the younger lads. I just say, like, you make sure you keep going out on loan. Don't get stuck playing like 21s football now.
Yeah.
Which is like it's obviously. It's a little bit more competitive than it used to be, maybe, but I still don't think it really sets you up properly to go into a men's game. And I think I'd started to find what I was good at, what I could do in a game that were my strengths, what my weaknesses were, and I really do think playing in the men's game. I mean, I remember playing for Whitstable against Maidstone, and there's a striker at the time, Sean Welford, who he's absolute man mountain. I never played against a geezer the size of him. And I did all right, and it was just getting used to him elbowing you and like smacking you, and like you just didn't get that at 21s football. It just wasn't a thing, and it makes you grow up quickly. So I think those were huge. And I do think, again, and I keep going back to it, that was down to having my dad in the club at the time. He would always be like, go and push to go out, go and speak to someone, go and get yourself out on loan. Like, and obviously he had contacts in football, which helped as well. So that did help me a lot.
Do you feel like the game today and the game back then, do you think there's a lot less emphasis on trying to get youngers to go out on loan, and why do you think that is?
I do think a lot of young people their advice given to them is wrong now. I do think they think, well, just stay there. You might get an opportunity, but the longer it goes, you just end up staying in your career and yourself, and you don't ever move forward in terms of what your potential may be. And I'm a big believer in you find your level. Like you find what level is for you. Does that make sense? Depending on how hard you work and what your work ethic is and all that sort of stuff, I think you find where you suit and where it fits. And I think you've got to go out and test that. And that's the tough thing. I just don't think a lot of young players do now.
Do you know what it is? I think, in my opinion, it's fair as well. Like if some people, like a lot of players are comfortable. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So if you go out on loan and fail, and then you got to come back to your club, what's your club thinking of you?
One of those loans, Lewis. It was a failure, really. I struggled. Like it was a tough one. So I went. Whitstable was like what I class as like Ryman South or Bostic South. Yeah. And then I went to Lewis and had a couple of games where it was actually quite tough for me. That was a level above that. But then I kind of learnt from that experience. Then went back out to Conference South level, like step 2, and then did really well. So you learn from those experiences, and you learn from having the bad game. I think it was at Hastings as well. I had a couple of bad games, and you learn from that. And like I say, it's playing in front of fans, in front of crowds for like competitive points. It's just so different to playing.
I agree. I think you should like if you can go on loan, you should go on loan because as I said, like 21s and 23s, that's not men's football.
Yeah.
Everyone's basically plays the same way. It's playing out from the back. It's pretty keep ball, technical, tactical game. Then if you go, imagine if you're, I don't know, at Chelsea or Arsenal, and then you have to go to a League 2 team or a League 1 team, and the type of football that you're used to, you have to adapt to that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why loans is good, because if you don't play for Arsenal, I know that Arsenal's got a way of playing, but if you don't play for that club, how are you going to go to any other club if you only know one way of playing?
Yeah. I don't know why it almost is frowned upon, and I don't really know why like young players don't want to, in the sense of, right, so I don't know, if you're at a championship club, it's frowned to come down into the non-league to play there. There's nothing wrong with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're learning and you might be better than that level. After the next loan, then I'm going to go here. Do you know what I mean? But you find it.
Let me tell you why they don't do that. Because if that fails, you come from a champ club and go to a non-league club and you don't do well, then they're thinking, oh, like, what? You went there and didn't do. So this is why... Well, while we're on the subject, I think it's good to go on loan, but you have to go to the right team as well. I think that's important. You can't just go to any club because I don't think I don't think that's good for everyone. I think I agree. Like, I think a lot of these youngsters should go on loan.
I think for me, for defenders, like you get the same probably pretty much anywhere you go. Like you say, for strikers, for even midfield players, like if you're going as a ball playing midfield player and you're going to a team that's going to miss
kick
you
it
out
along, there's no
point you being there. I get that.
But I still feel like you still need to adapt because you might have to leave the club you're at and go to another club. So it's still good to go and test it because, as I said, if you don't play for the club you're at, you might have to leave and go to a club that goes long.
Exactly.
So can you do that or can't you do that? Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think those like I say, it didn't always work, but that little period of going out was huge. It was pretty good.
So then you went specifically. There was a loan that you went to. Was it as Eastbourne?
Yeah.
And then you actually signed for Eastbourne. Yeah. It's gonna sound really silly, but was it difficult leaving Gills because of the how comfortable you were in terms of like knowing everybody there and everything like that?
So I'd made my debut as well, which was that was a tough part of my career probably. That I don't want to say burst on the scene like Micah Richards. But I'd got myself into the first team, and in my head I was like, yes, like this is what I want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I played a couple of games, and it was literally, I think it was the Monday after a Saturday. I'd played away at Crewe, done well, and I was probably going to play on the Tuesday. I think it was a Johnston Paint Trophy game coming up the game after, which was like the Carabao Cup of back then. But I then was training, went to pass the ball outside my foot to the winger, and I just felt a snap in my knee.
Wow.
And at the time I played on, I just didn't even clock what I'd done. And I'd carried on playing. It wasn't long for the session to be done, like 10 minutes. But I always remember this, like they had almost like a soccer AM sort of vibe. They'd blown up this massive paint pot in the training ground, and they had a few of the boys come over and like, can you dink it into the paint pot? So it's a big inflatable thing, and I did it. And what I didn't realise is I'd ruptured my lateral ligament.
Oh my goodness!
And I'd done that, finished and got back to the physio bed, and I just said to the physio, I've got a bit of a pain in the outside of my knee. Can you just have a look? And he went to test my knee, and he went, oh, that's not right. Like he went to move. I did a test for the lateral ligament, and it just went. I remember watching my knee just go where it shouldn't go. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I looked at it even myself, and I was like, that's not right, is it? And he went, no, we're going to get that scanned. So yeah, I got scanned, and it came back, and I'd ruptured my lateral ligament, and that was about, and then a year and a half of me trying to organise. Like my contract ended. And I knew non-league was then going to be where I kind of went, because there's just no one was going to touch me, unfortunately, because I just had my right knee. I ended up having 2 ops. I came back, it went again, and then had a donor ligament put into my knee. Right. So I've actually got someone else's ligament attached on my right side.
Wow. So we'll touch on that in the second half in terms of like.
But that then took me to Eastbourne. So I had a manager that I'd then played under when I went on loan. In Tommy Witherington, he'd obviously then just said, look, I'll take a punt and let's hope you come back as well as you were playing before when you obviously hadn't had your knee done. And I ended up playing 50 games that year. And that was the big moment, because even at Conference South level, I played the whole season, played every game, That was big part in, I think, then moving on and starting to build a career, if that makes sense.
Did you have any? I know you said that you thought you was gonna have to go down anyway. Did you have any reservations about going down?
Not at that point. I think, obviously, I was gutted because I think it was 3 appearances I made for Gills in the end. But I was gutted that I've got to that point and then felt, okay, I'm going to have to. It is a step back, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, at the same time, I think because that season was so enjoyable, I think you kind of forget about it and just go, I'm enjoying playing. So it is what it is.
That's really good. That's really good.
I mean, right back. I was still learning. I was still learning my trade, really. And even though in that season there was games where I got subbed at half time, like I was young and I was still learning the game. And I think by the end of that season, you just felt as if I'd turned a corner in a sense of I can play the level above it if I wanted to now and have another go at it. So that's kind of where it took me in the end.
But then you went to Maidstone.
Yeah.
And that's another one that you went on loan previously.
Yeah. And initially that season they were in a couple of levels below, and they won the league just being in and around it that season. It was a good group, so it was nice to go back there. It's a local club to me as well, which was nice. And I'd probably say that season wasn't as like good as the season before, but it was also a level up. But I scored a goal at Chester in that season to keep us up. We stayed up comfortably in the end, but the goal I scored
was the one that
mathematically we were up. We stayed up. So again, it was a good season in that sense and a great club. I think even now I would still go back to that club if I could. It's just I think they're in a little bit of a flux at the minute. But going away from the subject, that was another good season. Got about 38-ish games under my belt again, and a level up as well. So it also kind of ticked a box to say, okay, I'm established now at playing at that level as well. That's how my head worked. I was kind of like, okay, can I test myself? Can the next level up or
makes sense
and move on again? It was just one season. It makes sense.
Yeah, and was one season at Eastbourne as well, right?
Yeah, one season.
So was it like they came in for you, or was it one contract that you?
So I knew the goalkeeper at the time, Lee Morgan, who played for Maidstone, and he just mentioned that they were looking for a right back, and then he just mentioned it to Jay Saunders, who was the manager at Maidstone, and that's how that happened. I mean, I then signed for Eastleigh the season after. And it was Andy Hessenthaler that was the manager. So again, it kind of came full circle that he was like, right, let's take Josh down at Eastleigh, who he'd been there a season before that. Had a good budget and was looking to do well in the league. So yeah, I felt like again, as much as I love Maidstone, I do think Eastleigh was just a little bit that step up as a club. Is that another step forward to try and maybe get up to the top half of that National League? And I still to this day, that's the season at Eastleigh that comes after that is my best year in football. I mean, I've really enjoyed this year. To be fair, it's been good so far. But I'd say that's still up there. We got in the playoffs. That was a really, really, really good year.
So can I ask then, right? Because I'm not trying to say that you said the wrong wording here, right? But it feels like, did that fear of failure leave you then? Because considering that you've just kind of you've gone from 3 different clubs in the space of 3 years, and you got to a point where it was just like, no, I want to test myself. It's like the injury that happened maybe took away some of that fear of actually failing.
I do think I learned to just manage it. Just learn to, like you said, playing games and playing football. And this is where I come back to the going out on loan. If you're not playing football, you don't. Where are you going to get your confidence from? As a player, even any player, you're not going to get any confidence anywhere. Sat either on a bench or just not playing at a football club or just playing at 23s level. I just don't think or 21s, whatever you want to call it. But I think I started playing games, and once you start playing games, you then learn what you're good at in a game. You get confidence, and I think at that point I was like, okay, like you said, stepping up and playing. And Eastleigh that season, it was a great club, great set of lads, and we had a really good season. Probably punched above what the squad probably deserved, or not deserved, because I think we deserved what we got. But in terms of everyone knew what their position, what their role in the team was. We weren't anything special. If you actually looked at anyone else in that league that year, there's probably other teams below us that didn't get in the playoffs in the end that you would probably say looked nicer on the eye. But we got Paul McCallum. You got the ball up to him. I know you've had him on the podcast. You got the ball into him. It's great for me because I could just put a ball in the box and know that he was probably going to head it. So yeah, there was just I think everyone knew their role in that team.
Yeah.
I mean, we played 3-5-2, and I'd probably say that time 3-5-2 wasn't as it's used quite a lot now in terms of the formation, especially in non-league, and it wasn't really back then. We were different to a lot of teams. But yeah, it was. They found it. I think, especially with 2 up top, found it tough to kind of play against. We did well. And we could have quite easily got promoted.
You could have, yeah. That team
we
was really
lost
good.
to Salford in the semi-final on penalties, and we were probably a better team on the day. They ended up going up.
Was it?
Yeah, and we were probably the better team on the day. And I honestly do believe if we got to the final and played Fylde, who was the team that got there with Salford. I mean, Salford won 3-0 like comfortably as well. Like I watched the final. So you never know, but it just didn't work out for us at that time. But yeah, I'd say the fear of failure kind of left once you started playing and you got to know what you were good at. And yeah, I was always nervous. Don't get me wrong, and there was always a fear of failure, but you learn to manage that. I think that's the best way to describe it.
So. Now, my geography is very bad. I'm not going to lie about that. But it seems like you stayed in and around the Kentish kind of area, so to speak, right? Yeah. So Bristol Rovers now is a complete change. It's definitely not the Kent side of things. Yeah. Was there any transitions that you had to work on in terms of or adapting in terms of like out of your, I'm not going to say your comfort zone, but like it's a whole different area.
So even at Eastleigh, I was down in a house. So they had a house at Eastleigh that I was like 5 of us that stayed in. And that was, you had to grow up a little bit, to be fair. I mean, I'm Andrew Boyce, who's one of the big boys at Eastleigh at the time. He used to hate me. He was like, I was like his little brother, I think, to be fair, like leaving things around the house. Like I had a little bit of growing up there, but that was different. I agree. Yeah. And I remember when I got the phone call from, I was at an agent, Ian Hendon at the time, who's now he's assistant manager with Sammy Moore at Potter's Bar. Yeah. Okay. And he rang me and he was Bristol Rovers have made interest, and this is how I thought in my head. I was like, what? Like I know I had a good season. I got in the team of the year that season for National League. Like I said, it was one of my best seasons. I still didn't feel like I was like, oh, that's a big step up. Do you know what I mean? And still to this day, and I wish I didn't have thoughts like this. Like I remember getting that and coming off the phone call and almost felt like an imposter. Like, oh, I don't know if that's me. Like, am I good enough? Sort of thoughts. And it's sad, really. When I remember, I was away in Turkey when I got the phone call with my missus, and I got a phone call, and instead of being excited, my first thought was, am I going to be good enough, and can I do it at that level? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That wasn't. It was a complete opposite to probably what you should be thinking. Is actually, oh, that's exciting. I'm going to go and play in League One, and I'm going to make my statement. It was the opposite way. But I came round to that. Don't get me wrong. The excitement came shortly after, but initially that first thought was, not sure if I'm good enough for that. And it took a while because that I went down there and lived with someone, but that was a lot more lonely in a sense. Like you had to really fend for yourself in terms of, that's a long way away from home, and I had to stay down there a lot more than I did at Eastleigh. I came back a lot more. So but a good experience.
And with that as well, you've spoken about the loneliness side of things. Like, was you living with people or living by yourself?
Just one other player. Especially the first season, that player unfortunately got injured. So a lot of the time he actually was at home rested. I can't remember what he did off the top. I think it was his knee. I think it was his meniscus, and he had an operation. Ended up going home. So majority of the time I was in a flat on my own up that way, and it kind of carried on from where I went at Eastleigh. I started like a house on fire. I had a couple of games I remember, especially at the start, where it was a little bit of like a transition. I remember playing. We played. I think it was at Birmingham's ground, but against Coventry, because Coventry at the time didn't have their stadium. Yeah. I remember thinking, God, no, this is a step up. Like, I played against a very quick winger, and was just pinning me down, especially for the first half. And then I came into it a little bit more second half. But I think we went to 3-5-2, which we'd played the whole season the year before for Eastleigh. We would change shape at Bristol Rovers, and I remember the manager pulling me in the office, and he just kind of said, "I think this will suit you a bit more, but will suit us a bit more as well." And we went on a great run. Right. Must have been for about 10 or 12 games. Unfortunately, before I did my left knee. But yeah, I remember feeling to myself, I can do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of difference, especially now for teams of full time. I think it was wrong for me to think I couldn't, but I was holding my own and was doing fine, and got to about 12 game mark, and I'd set up a few goals to Johnson Clark Harris, who was at the top at the time, a little bit similar to Paul McCallum. Just crossing balls in the box, and I just stuck to what I was good at, and that was getting the ball in those wide positions and just putting the ball in the box and then being solid. And that's me. I wasn't ever like someone that was going to pull up trees. I always say I very rarely was I like 8, 9 out of 10, but I was very rarely below a 6, 7 out of 10. I was always solid and made sure I did my job and I would work hard for the team. So
Championship manager's dream, mate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're always a solid.
May I ask, how old was you when you was at Bristol Rovers?
I want to say 22, 23. I think I was in the end.
So you still was young. So this is
2019.
So this is what I'm saying. So like, for that age to go through all that stuff is a lot,
it's a lot, bro.
To be 22 and
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Operations, 5 loans, moving out of London.
Yeah.
So it's I commend you because that's not easy. Like to do all that and then get your move and feel the way you felt. And then do your knee again, like that's a lot. Do you know what I mean?
After that 12 games, I think it was a funny one. I was playing against Gills.
Oh, was it?
When I did my left knee.
Oh my lord!
Playing against Gills, went to plant my foot, and it went the opposite way, and I did exactly the same injury, left lateral ligament on my left side. I mean, it wasn't until I went back with my left knee to the same surgeon. He said you might have had a genetic problem there. Like, there's no way you should do your lateral ligament twice without doing anything else. I just literally did that outside ligament. So you've obviously got your LCL, ACL in your knee, and obviously the MCL on the inside. I ruptured both singularly. Didn't do my ACL on either one, which is unheard of. Really, it's not. Yeah. You don't usually do that. So, but look, I've now got 2 donors in there, and they've been good as gold since then.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Preferred position, right back, centre back.
Right back. I think right wing back is where I played my best football, and that's just more because I think it allowed me to just go and get forward and not have to worry about what was behind me. But right back. Right back, I would say.
Left wing.
Left wing, my position. Well, for my career, yeah.
What's it like when you know you're going up against a speedy, tricky winger?
Yeah.
And then what's it like for you when you know like you've got a solid right back that you know what, like, okay, it's going to be hard to actually beat them. Like,
I've had this conversation with Westy a few times. Like, Westy was what I class kryptonite in a sense, because Westy was quick.
Right.
I'm and direct. Like, every time Westy gets the ball, it doesn't matter. He's still playing now. Like, he is getting at his fullback.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a fullback, you have to do a job and make sure you're hard to beat. But Westy was quick, sharp, and clever as well. So he also what I liked about or found hard about playing against Westy was that he would also cancel me out as well. Does that make sense? Right, so there's a lot of wingers you play against now that doesn't necessarily run back with you, whereas Westy would do that as well. So it was tough. I've always said playing against Westy was the toughest because, and it's not me just because he's here. Like, he was quick, he'd take you on and get past you, but at the same time, he was also like he would also stop me from. He knew what I was good at, so he would stop me and stop me doing that as well.
And my thing is, obviously now, my mindset's different now. When I was quicker and that, I was similar to Josh. You know, I just used to do what I was good at. I never tried nothing that I wasn't good at. Yeah. So, getting the ball, running down the line and crossing the ball, I was good at that. Yeah. I'm not going to come in and start doing loads of step overs and that's not me. Yeah. So, similar to Josh, I knew what I was good at and I just kept on doing it.
The only good thing for me, I think, and Westy will laugh at this, is that I played right back because I watch left backs play against Westy now. And Westy goes both ways. Whereas when I played against Westy, I knew Westy was going
down the line.
Left. Westy's going left and he's going fast. Does that make sense? So if I've just got to be ready for the race, does that make sense?
True.
Whereas if I watch Westy play against the left back now, Westy's coming inside, and then sometimes he'll just go outside as well. I'm like, oh my god, I couldn't play against Westy when he was playing the opposite side. But I think I was lucky in that sense.
I think I was. Majority of my career I was on the left side. It's only later on in my career I've played on the right side. So I was more that if I'm on the left, I was just direct because I was so fast. I could just run down and pass everyone and cross. But now I'm older and I'm on the right side. I have to think more.
I still think I prefer to play against like a jinky winger.
Would you?
That I can react to and read.
Yeah.
Rather than just an out and out fast pace. I think that's still not enough people in the game now that just get the ball and just use what they're good at. I can't work it out. If I was rapid, why would you not? And obviously you can't. You got to manage yourself in your game. I know you've had to learn to do that as your career's gone on. But why would you not use what you're good at and use your speed to your advantage? But yeah, I still think I remember playing against like a Sean Shield, so I think it's brilliant for national league level. But he's a perfect example of more jinky. He's not as quick, but I preferred that to a certain degree. Don't get me wrong, he's still tough.
Yeah,
to
he's
play
still
against,
good.
Don't
He's
get me
still
wrong,
good.
but
Yeah.
I felt like I could get back at him if he ever did get beyond me. Does that make sense? Where it's tough when someone's quicker than you.
Have you ever seen, like, I want to word this correctly. Have you ever seen, like, within a game when a winger's just not been able to get the better of you, and you've kind of just seen them feel deflated? And have you kind of just used that to your advantage?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Just, like,
Definitely. I mean, you say about like the fear of failure. I mean,
Yeah.
when someone also flip it around the other way, when someone's getting the better of you, it obviously makes you go in your shell as well. So when you know you're doing well against someone, I think it then gives you that lease of life to go. I can go and get forward. I can. Do you know what I mean? That you do. Your confidence goes up.
How'd you deal with the opposite then, as you just meant? Yeah, like mentally, like while you're in the game.
Still,
you know,
today,
you've got...
like even at the weekend, there was an opportunity. Probably I could have done better in terms of a 1v1 battle, if that makes sense. And you have to just try and let it go and go again. Like I said to Westy at the weekend, there's a 10-minute spell where I probably weren't as good as I could have been, but I think that experience helps with that. And you have so many times where that does happen in games, and you just have to try and let it go. And I think the great thing about football and whether it's a game, you've always got another game coming up.
Yeah.
So you can, like, for example, it sounds like I've had a bad couple of weeks, but I got sent off last week for 2 yellows, and then you go and win 3-2 against Dagenham on Boxing Day because I could still play in that one because it wasn't 7 days after. So it kind of relinquishes that red card, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go again, and there are so many
Ups and
downs within a 90-minute game.
Yeah, 100%.
You've just got to let go whatever negatives come to try and move on. But like you said, it's tough, especially if it's a big mistake.
I think, see, when you ain't playing well, it's just sticking to the basics. You see, like trying to do something. You see, when you're not doing well, and you try and do something amazing.
I remember that 10-minute spell I'm talking about the weekend. I remember talking to myself in the game, which was like, right, next thing I do,
just do it simple.
It's simple.
Keep the ball or something.
I'll try to do something.
Spin it down the channel. Make sure that someone's like. You just got to do something basic. If you try and do a Cruyff turn and it just adds on to you losing your confidence. Do you know what I mean?
There was one particular. I've actually tried. I'm thinking Westy's in. Like Westy's calling for the ball. I'm about to play a diag to Westy, and then out of nowhere, one of the lads just comes in front of me, nicks it. And I'm like, ooh, and then I've got to react to that. And I was just thinking to myself, right, why am I trying to hit a diag? And I've got that there. I could just pass through simple. Do you know what I mean? Like,
we need to have a
just
conversation
simple.
offline about this, because I can't. Because certain times, right? At certain times, I just think to myself, like, how do you just overhit it? Like, you, like, and it's the fickle fan in me, just being honest. You're thinking to yourself, like,
that's an easy path.
It's easy, but
yeah.
You're probably not understanding how much pressure you're under.
That's what I'm saying.
There's so many different nuances in. I could play that pass. There's probably maybe 3 passes you could play. What's the best one? What equally is the hardest one? Because I think if it's going to be the hardest one you try, if you try your hardest pass every time you get it, then 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to be giving the ball away.
And the difference between our levels and Prem is just that they make the right decision more than we do. That's the difference.
And then probably the execution.
Do you get what I mean? So they make the right decision the majority of the time. Their ability to keep the ball obviously is better than our ability. But if you look at the Prem, like these guys, obviously they're paid a certain way because they majority of the time they make the right decisions and they're reliable. Do you know what I mean? Not saying that we're not reliable, but we're reliable on our right. They're reliable majority of the time. Do you know what I mean?
I always say, like, going from like playing at Eastbourne to then playing at Bristol Rovers, what's the biggest difference? For me, it was like there's an element of sharpness that went up, and it was brain. People's brains just work that little bit quicker and sharper, to be able to react to something either they see or play. Like, for example, when you're getting tight to a winger at League One level, if you got too tight too early, that ball then gets slid in, like in behind you rather than to his feet, and he's in there. They're just
smart,
one step ahead, just slightly quicker, slightly sharper.
And then the levels, the from that level it goes up to another level, and from that level it goes up to another level.
And let's be honest, I played at highest I played League One, and like you said, Championship is a jump to that, and then the Prem's a completely different jump to that. So it's mad to think what the level is actually to play like week in, week out at Premier League level and be established.
So then you went back to Eastleigh, you went back to Eastleigh from
again, a bit of a reset for me, unfortunately, when it comes to the injury. I mean, I obviously had 2 years at Rovers, but I still never really got to the point of playing enough games to just feel like I could got myself back into it again. I still think having both knees done without realising probably did just have an effect on what I was. Don't get me wrong, I was never quick, but I was also not slow, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I do think
yeah,
just in terms of change in direction and things
Yeah,
like that, I do
yeah.
think having both knees done
Yeah.
did have a bit of a
Agility-wise.
difference.
Yeah,
Just to that little bit of sharpness, that 5 to 10 yards. And I think that was something that I always, not struggled at, but always worked on. I've always worked on that, like going to the gym, like plyometric work.
Yeah.
I think that's something I've always like wanted to get better at. Felt I was always comfortable on the ball, and probably my main attribute is being on the football. But the physical side of the game, I do think was something. If I was ever going to play at a higher level, I think I would have needed that little bit, bit more of a 5 to 10 yard burst. I think is the best way to describe it to play higher.
Well, you played the majority of it. Most of your games, though, in terms of like a season, was 2 seasons, I should say, was Dagenham and Redbridge.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because that's where did you guys play
Played-
together?
yeah,
You played
yeah,
together?
That's where we kind of came back. It was like a full circle moment in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, that first season I signed there, Dagenham, it was a good team. It was a good side, and probably underachieved
I
for
definitely
what
agree
that
with
side
that.
was. So yeah, it was very good in the sense. I don't like to talk ill of any scenario. I do think it was a club that expected to be in the league, and they're not in the league. So I do think it was a tough place to be in a sense of I think there was so much expectation and it wasn't quite fulfilling it as a group and as a players. And I think that's the whole club. And that was sad, really, because I do think it was a good club and it was a club that could have got there, but it just didn't quite work out for whatever reason. And I mean, we played them yesterday. Unfortunately, they dropped down another league. So yeah, it's tough in that sense, but it was also a good time and good to play with experienced players and a good group again. So I've been lucky in that sense. I've always been at clubs where it was a good set of players, and always half in and around having some form of success. Just never quite got there, and probably until Boreham Wood. That's probably until then. And what's the difference between Dagenham at the time and Boreham Wood? I know we was obviously a level below, but nothing really. You just have to have that little bit of luck and get a run going that gets you into a position to go up.
Did you enjoy Boreham Wood?
I did. Again, it's another good club, and obviously it ends up being it was a tough ending in a sense because I actually didn't play when in the games that got us promoted, but I played the majority of the games leading up to that. I had 3 concussions across that season. Just unlucky really in the end, and was probably trying to go back too soon to playing. You know, and you just want to. I have 3 weeks now to go into detail with it. If you have a concussion, you have to have 3 weeks where you build your way back up to playing. And I probably the first time I had it, I was a little bit too soon. I tried to get myself back playing a bit too soon. So that when I got the second one, I actually had quite serious symptoms.
Right. Okay.
Like even going home and things like that. Like at night, I was having like these. I wasn't ill, but I'd have these like high temperature moments and things from just training. So I got a bit silly in the end, but I ended up having just a complete chill on it, and it kind of came back to it. But I ended up getting another concussion playing against Maidstone towards the end of the season, which ruled me out for the rest of the season, really. So. It was great to be a part of and see obviously the boys
promotion.
do it. Yeah. Because I played like nearly 30 games that season still, so it was still obviously had a big part in it. But it was sad not to be involved in that part of it, but it was great.
Nice
Great to get a promotion. Yeah, it was good.
So was that kind of like the concussions and that sort of side of things why you went to basically where you're at now?
Hornchurch. Yeah. I think it played a part in it, if that makes sense. But it worked well for me in a strange way. So it's again not the easiest drive to get to Boreham Wood from Kent. It was 2.5 hours most days. So look, was I gutted to come away from there? Yeah, because it wasn't my decision. It was the club's decision to say that they weren't going to offer me another deal. I mean, if you want to go into right detail, if I made 20 or 30 starts in all competitions, I would have stayed there. I'd made 29 starts for my deal to carry on. So it was like something as small as that. Wow. So like I say, sometimes the way the world works. I have belief in that. Like whatever happens. Like it's not the end of the world in that sense. But I think where it then took me to is actually, like I say, this season's been probably one of my most enjoyable again since that Eastleigh season. So you kind of you look at it and think, well, did I want to do all the travelling that Boreham would do now? Because National League's one of the probably one of the biggest travelling leagues in.
It is.
Obviously, we're a bit more part-time football now, which again suits my role and what I'm doing in terms of outside of football now. So, it worked out probably for the better. But at the time, you're kind of like, I would like to have another crack at the National League because they're less flying this year. They're doing great.
They are really doing really good.
Doing really well. So there's part of you that's like, a little bit of an ego touch to say I could have gone and had another go at the National League and see how I got on. But at the same time, like I say, it's been great this season and really enjoyed it. So.
Well, we're praying for back-to-back promotions.
Back-to-back
promotions.
God willing, man.
God
Trust
willing,
me.
it will be that. Well, we've got finished our first half of the podcast. Your story is really, 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 really dope, bro. And I think the fact that I can see there's so many hidden gems that I personally don't even think that you've even noticed within yourself, brother. Like, you're very humble. Do you know what I mean? But you've had such a dope, successful career, bro. And like, as I mentioned, man, we're praying for back-to-back promotions for you. We're gonna have a 5-minute break, and then we're back with the second half of the podcast, which is the mental health and well-being section. For anybody out there that may have heard something in the first half, you might be struggling, you might need that safe space, you might need that support. Feel free to contact the numbers that we've got on the screen here. Like I say, we always talk about basically encouraging people to speak. So those are the numbers there. Get in contact, find that help. Yes, people, we are back with the second half of the Set Piece podcast. Great interview so far. First half, we're all right. We're here, innit? We're 1-0 up. We're 1-0 up. Yeah. Good cross from the back from Josh. Miles at the back post. So we're gonna go into the second part of it now, which is the mental health side of things. So the first question that we always ask our guest, Josh, is what does mental health and well-being mean to you?
I think nowadays it's obviously spoken about so much more, which is great.
Yeah.
I think I've always been one of those people, I think, that bowls a lot of emotion. I don't think I've ever been one of those people that's outwardly shown it. I mean, even my mum says to me, even, through like passings in the family and all that sort of stuff, I've never really been one to openly cry in front of my mum. I've always been the one that felt like I was going to be strong. I think that come from being like the older sibling, maybe.
Yeah.
And having younger siblings, just felt as if I needed to be
The strong one.
Yeah, the strong one. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's definitely been occasions where where that bottle has kind of topped, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I think everyone has those moments, and I think when that has come, it then comes a little bit harder, if that makes sense. Rather than actually probably having periods where you do say I'm struggling, I think I have a little bit more of a blowout, if that makes sense. But especially when I can remember, especially being at Rovers and the second time I did my knee, and kind of feeling like that was the end of my career, just because I felt like I'd had 2 knees done. And being up in Bristol Rovers trying to do my rehab on my own, I think that was a tough period.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say mental health to me, I always looked at it as I can manage, and I can do it myself. And I think that's that's probably a dangerous place to be. I think for a lot of people, actually, if you always think you can manage and can do something, I think you do need people in your life to talk to and chat with about those things. And I think I remember there was a time I went home with Rovers and outwardly spoke to my dad and my mum about how I was feeling, and thinking I'm not sure if I'm going to come back from this one as well as I think I ended up doing. I actually then come out the other side of that because that was a tough period, and I never really thought about it then. I didn't think it was actually a thing, but like especially when you're on your own, I think you just keep doing your schedule and going about your day. You don't necessarily think about it. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way I would describe what mental health and how it comes across to me. I was like, I can get through this myself. I can push through it and not let it affect me. Maybe when I think it's tough to do that.
Would you, if you was in that situation again, would you do the same thing, or would you do anything different?
I think I probably could have. I think I probably could have gone home a lot more than I did. Like, I felt like I needed to be up there and be like, I need to get myself right. Does that make sense? I need to get. I need to be here every day. Yeah. I need to make sure I'm doing my rehab. Make sure that I'm. I think I could have been like, just give yourself a break. Like, your body will heal yourself in time. Go home and enjoy family life, if that makes sense. Like, and having those people around, and I still could have done those things that way. I think I felt that the opportunity to play at that level, and I felt like I needed to give it everything, if that makes sense. But I think my body was only going to recover the way it does. Do you know what I mean? It was only going to take an amount of time. Actually, I remember talking to you about even injuries and things like that. I think the best thing you can do sometimes is just rest your body and just let it heal.
I agree.
So yeah, I think there was probably just a little bit of an angst. I wanted to obviously get back playing, but it was going to be a long time. I think I spent a lot of time down there when I could have probably spent a bit of money and just gone, right, I'm going to go home and spend time with close ones and family. So yeah, probably that would have been a bigger thing, or a better thing to have done. Probably looking at it then. But yeah, I think maybe just making sure I spoke to more people about it. I don't think I necessarily. I think my answer to everything. I've watched a lot of people with mental health, and I actually resonated with it a lot. And I'm fine.
Yeah.
But when I'm not. Yeah. And that was the only time probably I could say I had a period where I was like I struggled, and that was it. And yeah, I think that my answer to everything was always I'm fine. I'll just get on with it myself. Really.
Where are you at now in terms of like, if for example you were struggling now, like what would you talk about it now? Do you think?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah. And I do think it helps being that a big part of my life is Kate, my wife. I think she's one of those people where I think she rubs off on anyone in terms of just the positive energy. And I think having her, and obviously I was with her then, and again I wasn't with her all the time at that point because I was away.
Yeah.
Coming home, just having that time, it just takes your mind off it, doesn't it? It just takes your mind off what you're doing. Like nieces I've got now, like just having that period of time, even when you have a bad game of football, which it still affects me bad to this day. It affects me more than probably most. I care. Do you know what I mean? Being sent off, that was probably that was tough the other night. Like I didn't like that at all. It's the first time I've ever been sent off in my whole career. I got sent off for Hornchurch the other night. Yeah. And you're in the dressing room on your own. You should be out on the pitch and you're listening to the crowd and the ups and downs. Like we scored to make it 1-1. I then heard the opposite end score. So it was 2-1. I'm thinking, we can't lose. I've been sent off. I've always been at fault. And then we get the equaliser. So it was like the up and down of emotions. And you come away from that game. And I got home that night. And I remember Junior and Mariah said to me, "Don't beat yourself up about it. Like it is what it is." And I think back in the day, I would have done.
Right.
I 100% think I've got things at home now where it just takes you out of that mode. Does that make sense?
That's wicked.
Yeah, going home and my wife almost didn't realise I'd been sent off, so she didn't care. We just started talking about it normal like every day. She got home and she was talking about what trouble she had at work, and you just get out of it. I think that's huge, and I think that period where I did struggle was just based on the fact that you didn't have that breakaway, and you were constantly thinking about I'm not playing. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to the toughest thing I think about being injured is going to watch.
Yeah,
and
I don't like
you obviously
that.
go to watch a game and to support the boys that are playing, but you're watching and go, I just wish I was out there.
I don't like
Do you know what I mean? I just wish I was out there. And I don't think a lot of people realise how bad it can be being injured in football. It is tough. Like both periods I was out for well over a year. My right knee, so the Gillingham one was a lot longer just because it was twice, because I did like the re-rupture. I was young then, so I kind of felt as if I was like, I'll give you that. Do you know what I mean? I've got plenty of time. Whereas I think the second time I was like, this one's a bit later on. And I just felt like I was starting to get to where I wanted to be. And again, it kind of gets taken away from you at that point. So that's where I think it's tough when you're on your own and you haven't got a lot of you'd say family support around you. Because I think friends in football there's people that are there for you. There's certain players that kind of just like leave you to your own devices. There's certain players that do come and, like even Junior the other night and Westy even, do you know what I mean? Like you're having those players and don't worry about it, do you know what I mean? Like, they come up to you and actually, but then there's obviously other players that just like, they're doing their own thing as well, and it's their own life as well. So yeah, I think being on your own and it was made it tougher. But yeah, I definitely think having your family around now takes you out of that mindset if you do ever have periods where you struggle.
So can I ask you, when you had the first injury, so you was just about to, Michael Richards moment, burst onto the scene, right?
I can't
just
believe
about to,
I went to say that. There's nothing bursting about what I did, unfortunately. But.
You just went to burst on the scene. But in the same respect, though, like, and I'm not saying you're saying this, like, but it's still a big deal that you've made a debut, bruv. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, there's people that haven't made an actual debut, and I think like sometimes I think maybe sometimes us as fans can maybe downplay the significance of
course.
just
Yeah.
making a debut.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've got there and then you're due to play again and you have that injury.
Yeah.
What can you remember? What's that like mentally?
I think within about 6 months, I think I've made 3 appearances for Gills in the end.
Yeah.
And within about 6 months, I played my official debut was on my birthday away at Yeovil.
Oh, sick.
And that was again, I can remember that being one of the highest highs. My mum and dad come down last minute to watch the game because obviously I think they got wind of the fact that I was going to be playing.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
I then play in the league game leading after that. So it was a cup game that I played. Again, I think it was right at the start of the season. So it's like, you used to play the first game of the season was the Carabao Cup game.
Yeah, I remember that.
Weird. I don't know why it worked out that way. But so that one of the first games of the season was a Carabao Cup game. I then played the league game against Yeovil again on the Saturday. So we played against the same team. It was just a reverse fixture. We were at home. I get knocked out in the game, like spark out.
Wow.
Went to block a cross. Went flying over. Went to dial it out. The balls hit me in the jaw. And apparently, I obviously can't remember this, but I just tombstone back. That's my second game.
Goodness.
Obviously, 7 minutes into my debut at home in front of Priestfield at Gills. So I had a long period before then I played again in the first team, if that makes sense. So I ended up taking a little while coming back from that. And then obviously at that point, I've lost my place. So you're working to get back in again. It worked out about, I think it was about 6 months until I then played a crew and did my knee. So again, it's just
it's
up and
down.
down.
Up. You do have to just get used to that, I suppose, in a way. That was tough in a sense of both times was highest of highs, then the lowest of low. But probably like I say, the knee, because it was such a long-winded thing. And I was, again, when I first came back and re-ruptured it, that was in pre-season. I felt like I was in and around it again. So it's another little period where you think you're going to be back into it, and then it happens again. So it was tough. But I think I was always in a sense of, I'll find my way because I'm young. I can still. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I definitely don't think I was in as bad a way as I was when I went to Rovers and did my knee.
So the second one was
I knew what was coming. I think I knew what was coming as well.
How did that one happen?
I was I think the ball got turned in behind me. I'm running with the left winger. I think he was playing wing back at the time, so he was left-footed, and I've gone to block a cross. And when you plant your foot to then put your right foot out, my left leg just went underneath me rather than bend normally, if that makes sense. It went the other way. That was one of the worst pain.
Serious?
Oh, yeah, serious, yeah. I just remember that, my whole knee just felt... you know you've done something as well, and it's the hardest thing in the world when you get into a physio room and someone's going to you, you never know, it might not be as bad as you think.
Yeah.
You do, unfortunately. It's weird. You kind of just like without really realizing what you've done, you've done something bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you obviously you're optimistic that it's not anything like really really bad, but technically a lateral ligament isn't the worst one you can do. It is a lot shorter, and unlike an ACL. An ACL you're talking like 8 to 10 months really probably to get yourself back fully, whereas you can be back with an LCL within 6 if you do everything right. Yeah. I think because I'd had my right knee done, we did exactly the same operation with my left knee, so we didn't even muck around with usually they would just repair it. Because I had the same thing done on my right, they did the same thing on my left. So it was a quicker turnaround in that sense. And like I said, I've never had an issue with that one since. So
And how long was that for? How long were you out for?
Yeah, I want all in. I think until I properly was back playing, it worked out a year. I think just because of. I don't. Maybe it was just because of me, really. 6 months. I always say I think that everyone's got a different
healing process.
Process. And I do think that I think I needed probably a little bit longer. I'll tell you why. Actually, on this left side, I had just thinking about it now. I had they're like little screws basically that attached obviously into my knee. But I had a little bit of an issue. One of the screws actually came loose, so that I'd go in, take that out. But that was around lockdown.
Oh, goodness.
So everything went kaput. So going into quite detailed with it. But I remember actually I went down with my wife now. We stayed down in Rovers at the flat I was in for 2 weeks so I can't remember what it was called now, but if they self-isolate. I had to self-isolate to be able to go and have the operation. We stayed in Bristol for 2 weeks, just like, obviously you could go out. I remember going for a walk down, or we walked down into Bath one day and came back. We just spent 2 weeks there just so I could have the op to take the screw out. Yeah. Once that happened, it was good as gold. But I just remember I played a game, we played at Southend, which was crazy because Southend at the time were in League One. And by the time we came out of lockdown, I can't remember how it ended up working out for Southend, but they ended up being in the National League where they are now.
Yeah.
We had a couple of without fans being there, but I played at Southend, and I remember finishing the game. I was like, I shouldn't be in this much pain. Like I played the whole game, and it felt like a bony pain, if that makes sense. Yeah. And they ended up finalising that it was the screw that was coming loose. That's where I was getting my pain from, and no one believed me at the time. That was a tough thing. Everyone was kind of like, "Nah, it's in your head. Like, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that pain." It's like, I'm like, "Nah, I shouldn't be getting it. I know what what my right leg felt like when I was coming back and playing."
I
remember a manager pulling to me. He was like, "Because about 60 minutes, I was almost coming across to the bench to say, something's not right. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm playing full throttle and it doesn't quite feel right." And I can't remember if I think I remember coming off or I got to the end of the game. But I just remember coming to the end of the game like, my knee's not right. Like, something's going on here. I felt almost more disheartened than ever, really, because I was like, is there something wrong? And it was only a screw that was loose, but at the same time, I thought there was a serious issue there.
Did you get because I've heard a lot of footballers say that sometimes when you're at certain clubs, you're an asset when you're available. And then as soon as you're injured, you're hardly looked. Did you get a lot of support while you was doing your rehabs from both? You don't have to go into
no. I can't moan in terms of the support in terms of the clubs. Definitely not. But I think it's subconscious more than it is. Right. Okay. It's just subconsciously. I think everyone's just kind of like leaving be, if that makes sense. He's doing his thing, and I think managers, especially, obviously, I'm no use to a manager. Being injured. So I think there's a certain like subconscious thing that just says like, and you do feel a little bit away from the group, which is easily done. Even at Gillingham, the gym was like near the ground, but I'd go into the gym probably at different times to all the boys were training, and I'd probably either go home later or earlier depending on what I was doing that day. So you're just not. You're not in the midst of the squad. So I think subconsciously, it is different, and it's like you said, that then kind of goes into that lonely element. I think when I said earlier on about being lonely down in Rovers, I think it wasn't when I was playing. I was loving it at that time. It was when the biggest memory for me, unfortunately, of being at Rovers was that time of being injured. I think it was tough.
Of course, that was the majority of the time.
You're never in at the same time as the players. You're in at opposite times. You're in longer hours. So you just never really with it. You're just spending time on your own.
Did you get to go on holiday? Did they let you go on holiday?
There was. I didn't when I was at Rovers, and again, I think I should have done. Should have just gone and got myself away. But again, in my head, I'm thinking I need to get right. But I did when I was younger at Gills. And that was actually good, to be fair.
That's
I think I went to Egypt in the weirdest time of the year that you would ever think in like February or something like that. You never go away as a footballer at that time, do you? But
I was going to ask as well, earlier you talked about fear early on in your career. Again, obviously now you're older and you're experienced and you've had a good career. Like, do you feel like the fear factor of what you had kind of hindered you, or do you feel like what advice now would you give someone that was in your position in regards to fear? Because I think fear can make your career or break your career. I mean, it can break your career. Not make your career. I mean, fear. If you have fear, it's a dream killer.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, if you let fear take over you, I feel like that could be the difference between you making it or not.
Yeah. I wish when I was younger, I went and spoke to someone about it. And I think there are elements to how you can manage it. And I do think it's more of a case of I didn't ever speak to anyone about it. We just have a little look at a few things that maybe I did across. Like just routines or just, I feel like once you get into playing regularly, you every week you have a certain thing that you do, and it might be only a small little things like I remember you saying about a certain pre-match that you had that was always the same and never changed. Now that wasn't necessarily the case for me, but just making sure like my schedule of an evening, like making sure my bag was packed and just things getting my. I felt if I was prepared, the majority of the time. I was a lot better in terms of managing in that fear. Does that make sense? That prepared to failure, or I can't actually remember what the statement is. But I think that's huge. I think that's. I've always been more fearful. Like for example, if I ever came back from a little niggly injury, and I've had other injuries, luckily touch wood, and never been like as bad as my knees. But when I was coming back from injuries, I was always a bit like tentative in the sense of, I've not trained for a few weeks. Like if you haven't had that preparation and that's not been as well as what it could have been, then you're always a little bit like it's in the back of your mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember there was a period at Dagenham where I had struggled with get to 60 minutes and I was struggling with cramp, but that's just on the back of not playing and not playing for weeks. And you then think about that when you're going into games, and I'm trying to prepare and I'm thinking about what I'm eating before a game just to make sure that I don't get that feeling again. Do you know what I mean? It's and it affects your game, and you don't concentrate on what then you're good at. You're concentrating on other things rather than the game that you're playing. So I do think preparation, and maybe just having a chat to work out what works for you to manage those fear elements to it.
I think though that does come with experience. I think
it does. Yeah.
You know, when you're young, you don't even know yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? You basically are listening to what other people tell you until you, as you said, when you go through certain things and now, okay, cool, I need to do this. Yeah. Now I need to do that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was going to say, sorry, I feel like you go from a period where you don't think about fear to 12 years old maybe, where just you're a kid. You just go and play, don't you? Do you know what I mean? And then there is I'd say it's 16, 17, maybe even 18, where it just starts to hit you.
I agree.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because it becomes serious. Because I suppose around that time, football was
contracts,
contracts. This could be something that you're then oh, that's a bit more serious. That's something that I then want to care about and want to do well at. And I think that's when it comes. And then, like you say, managing that feeling and using it to your advantage, I think that's you can.
100%. I've had it in my career. Like my fear used to be that I can't provide for my family.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. That was not like my fear. Never used to be playing. I always used to think like if I've got 1 year left on my contract, I need to play well because I need another contract. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was how I thought. I was thinking, listen, I've got kids and a wife and and people to provide for, so I need to be able to provide for them. So that was kind of how I used to think when I was younger. And even situations that might happen, if you get released, am I going to get another club? I used to think like that. Like, do you get what I mean? So that's stuff that I kind of had to overcome as well. So I feel like it's different for different people, but it's still fair. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Even though we know we're good enough to go and get another club. Do you know what I mean? So
I think also though that touching what Josh said, I think it's not. I don't think it's just football as well. No, I feel like as soon as we get to that age of like this, the 15, 16 mark, when we start realizing
leaving
that,
school,
like the decisions that we make now, they're gonna be consequences. Yeah. I feel like when I was younger, I used to run up and down and be able to do anything I want. Yeah. Now, I'm like, if I jump on that, I might break my leg. If I break my leg, I'm out of work. I'm out of work. So now there's so much more things
think
that
about,
you think about more.
That's so true.
And I think, not just football wise. I think it might be a
life in general.
Just
life. It is life. It is life. Yeah.
So I want to go back to the time when you were spending with. Correct me if I'm wrong. You had a player that you was staying with, and that they were injured. Yeah. What were they like in terms of with their injury? Like, were they quite positive? Were they negative? Were that? We don't have to go into names.
No, yeah. I'd say negative. Yeah. And again, a similar scenario. You wanted to play. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think anyone in that position. It's tough, and you try and almost come away and not talk about football as much as you can. I remember having periods where we would go into it, and then you're like, "Well, let's try and change the subject."
Because that's what I was going to ask. How did that affect you? Because correct me if I'm wrong, you're playing at the time, right? Yeah. Because how did that affect you?
My
in terms
high
of,
became something actually would probably makes him a little bit lower. Yeah. No, I get your point. And the hardest thing as well is, as much as obviously I'm staying with this person, I didn't know him that well.
Right. Okay.
Sam Matthews is who was with at the time, he was doing really well before he got injured as well, and it was a similar story to me. He'd come from non-league as well, so we had that in common. So I think it was easier just to go back to maybe we spent a little bit of time at a previous club, so I knew him but just didn't know him that well to then be a comfort blanket for him, I suppose, in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like it's tough. Like I said, I think coming away trying to speak about other things other than football. He, at the time he had a girlfriend that would come to the flat and all that sort of stuff, and maybe just try and change the scenery. We used to go out and go for a bite to eat, cinema, all that sort of stuff, just to try and change the mentality of it. But then at the time, I think Sam ended up like I say, he was out for that season, so we both ended up being injured together in that same environment. So again, it was just a case of trying to change the subject, I think.
Did he ever mention anything about like I'm struggling like mentally, or was it always a thing of where it just focused on the football, just want to get out playing and stuff like that?
The only thing I think he did have, which was a little bit easy, is a little bit closer to home, so he could just go home, which was probably nice for him. But at the same time, it then became, like I said, it was more of a lonely place for me in that sense. But yeah, he could just go and pop home. It was a lot harder for me to do that just because of the distance of it. But at the same time, like, he's still in the same position. I think and his one was a little bit more in a sense of he wasn't sure what his injury was, and he was trying to work that out. And I think that's tough. Like,
that's very tough.
If you don't actually know what the problem is and what the issue is, it was constant. There was months and months of him being out, but he couldn't actually work out what the problem was until we ended up having the op to fix it. So that's probably, at least I knew my situation, where I was, how long I was going to be out for. So yeah, I think in a weird way we probably were there for each other, but without realising. And again, probably didn't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
Probably didn't talk about it enough. Probably tried to change the subject. With anything, sometimes it probably would have been good for us to have a quite open conversation about both in a bit of a pickle at the minute, like how we feeling. But we never did really. That's probably why, I don't know. Yeah, like you say, you try and avoid it, don't you, as best you can. It's the way we are as people and men, maybe more than
I was going to ask a two-part question to that. So I was going to ask, do you, looking back now, can you see a lots of teammates that you maybe been in around that you think now, looking back at it, you were struggling with your mental health? Like, do you think you've got teammates that you've seen that, and off the back of that as well, similar to what you was just saying, why do you think that there wasn't that community of teammates that would just speak to each other and say, we're probably going through the same thing. Yeah. Let's talk about how we're feeling. What do you think? Why do you think that is?
I feel like we've spoken about this even recently. I feel like squads and football squads now are so much more adaptable to that sort of thing. I feel back then it just wasn't the thing. You just didn't talk about it, did you? Like, even talking to experienced pros, it just wasn't a thing. Like, you got so much more stick in dressing rooms. I think, unfortunately, a football dressing room was for banter and for jokes, laughs. It wasn't for that. I do think it's changed a little bit.
I agree.
Still got a long way to go in that sense. But how much can you change? 21 lads being in a dressing room, there's going to be that. Do you know what I mean? But I do think if there's someone struggling now, I do think it would be pointed out a lot more now than it ever would be.
I think so.
Even just, I'm just going to go back to the weekend. Like, Mackay, bless him. I felt the need to go over and speak to Mackay, who plays in a similar position to me. He'd come on at the weekend, and just because of the way the game worked out, the manager then brought him back off. And I don't want to talk about too much into players themselves, but you could tell he was upset. And I've just felt the need to say to him, like, it happens. It happened to me. I've been brought on and brought off.
That's really good.
I just felt the need to go and say to him, like, look, you're going to be fuming now. I know you are, and you're probably upset, but it's happened to me. It might happen to you again. You just got you're going to be a good player. Yeah. So just believe in your. Those sorts. I
said the same thing, because I said, listen, like, you need to use it. That's what I said to him. I said, listen, would you believe that Gaffer's probably done it to me? The same Gaffer that I'm playing with now. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it didn't break me. Do you know what I mean? It's at the time you're upset, but you got to use it. Use it to overcome this stuff. You don't ever want to feel like this again. Then use this moment now for your good. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I done the same, because you see, I feel like the older pros, that's me, Josh, and a lot of the older pros in my team, we have to look after the youngsters. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I don't necessarily think that would have been the case back then. That makes, and I don't even know. Again, there's maybe a subconscious thing, but I just don't think it was as like, it was just.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Back then, you're mentally weak.
It was, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
like, there's no what you got injured and you're saying you got mental health, you're mentally weak. That's what it was. Right. You see, like, as I said, we spoke about early on with how Martin Allen dealt with that tough love is not that's not now. Yeah, no way. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But that shaped him. That shaped me. Do you know what I mean? So now, and back then, you had to be mentally strong to be a footballer. I believe you had to be mentally strong. You can't showing your vulnerability wasn't it wasn't a thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, oh, what you talking about? Me bullying you, or you're this, or you've had an argument with your missus and you're upset, or like something's happened and you can't deal with it. Oh, you're mentally weak. That's the culture it was.
Yeah.
Now it's different. I think now there's more people that are speaking out. There's more help for people to go to, and
just
this is
I think an understanding.
understanding,
maybe.
and this is the culture of football now. But back then that wasn't it. Like you had to just deal with it.
So what do you think? So if it's changed now and you say it's got better, then would you say that there's a lot of things that the younger generation may not learn themselves, that what you guys had to kind of learn? Like, because if we're saying there's a bit more protection there, so to speak, like what Martin Allen did, you wouldn't get that now.
Yeah.
Like, would you say that we're stopping some of the younger generation from learning some like stuff?
Yeah,
that
I agree.
could potentially make them
I think
stronger?
so. I think there needs to be balance. That's what it needs to be. I don't feel like, remember, just because Josh can take it don't mean I can.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? So we're dealing with humans. Not everyone. We're dealing with different people's emotions. So not everyone's the same. So, but this is the difference between good managers and bad managers, and good clubs and bad clubs. They know how to control the whole change room.
Yeah.
So they'll know how to put an arm around Josh because Josh needs it, and they can shout at me because I can take the shout. Maybe them shouting at me might galvanize me to go and play better.
Yeah.
So that's the balance that you need to know. You need to know your players. You need to know the club that you're at. And I feel like now, the best will know.
Yeah.
The best will know, okay, cool, I need to do this with him and I need to do this. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of like teams and squads now have adapted to that as well. That they actually can manage their own teammates as well. And I don't think that was ever a thing. I think, like you said, it was a case of, okay, you're mentally weak, or there's a pointing fingers, or you just joke and laugh about a certain scenario. But I do think there is more of a case of that the teammates will now put an arm around a player if they need it, or if they think they need it. Which maybe back in the day you probably wouldn't necessarily have had. There might have been an odd one. I can remember Adam Barrett was brilliant.
He was amazing. He was one of my best captains ever.
Even as a young lad coming into a dressing room, he was always great. But then you had the opposite, and you had the opposite way around, where someone would actually make you feel quite hostile. So I do think it has changed a little bit, and it probably depends on the different squad you're in, the team you're in. But I think I've always been that as it's gone along, other than maybe very, very early on. Like I said, with the few of the hostile moments at Gills potentially when you're in the youth team, I do think I just don't think it's necessarily the biggest case anymore. I think under 18s have got a bit more confidence, a bit more.
And you know what it is? I was just thinking, something just made me think, like, remember, like, the older pros, they might be having problems.
Yeah.
So not saying that they can't help you, but you don't know what's going on in their lives. Do you know what I'm saying? So they might not even have the capacity to help you also, or they might even give wrong advice because they're going through something crazy. So that's why I feel like it's always important to go to the right people. Yeah. Because going to the wrong person could maybe make you even worse. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I always say this. When I was coming through, I had a lot of help that I could go to. I had a lot of people that I could speak to, older pros that gave me very good advice. Do you get what I'm saying? But I was blessed with that. Not everyone has that. No. Do you get what I mean? So it's about finding out and going to the right people, because you don't want someone to give you the wrong advice and then go into the manager's office now. Say you get dropped and go into the manager's office now, and then you go into the manager's office, you don't play for 3 months. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. No, so true.
Yeah.
Would you say you had a lot of good people around you?
Yeah.
To talk to?
Yeah, that was big. Yeah. Like I say, and that understood football as well. Like Westy said, like that moment of, I don't know, you might not have been playing for a month or so, like you might speak to someone that says, "Oh, go and smash his door," like go and make sure that, or have this certain conversation, when actually the conversation could be had in a better way that probably suited you and adapted to what you wanted. Does that make sense? I think sometimes, you know and read the room. Yeah. Because you've got people that understand the room. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely.
And if you don't have people that understand it, then it can be quite tough to to then get what you want from it, if that makes sense. So yeah, like for example, me getting out on loans as regularly as I did was down to me timing it well enough and knowing when to go in and say, I think I'm not doing much here now. Can I go out and experience playing? So yeah, I definitely do think that helped.
So you had a lot of good people around you. So I want to kind of ask you, so if there was a youngster listening now that would be listening to this and saying, well, Josh, like you had good people around you, yet you still didn't talk about what you're going through with people. Why should I have good people around me, but why should I talk about my stuff? What kind of advice would you give to younger people
when you did, or when I did have those times that I did speak about, it just took the whole weight of what I felt was the world at the time off of my shoulders. And I don't think I still think mental health is something that not a lot of people still to this point understand. And I think there's only you will feel and know when you feel as if something helps. And trying to find that person, or whoever that is, it doesn't even necessarily need to be a father, a dad, a mum. Yeah, it could be someone that's like a neighbour. Honestly, it could be anyone. That's the thing.
It could be,
it just clicks, and something just like, oh, that helped. And then you do it more often, and that could be that person that you speak to all the time to get out of it. I do just find that comfort, find that person that will help you get out of that certain scenario, or what do you enjoy doing, and find it and do it more often. Do you know what I mean? And don't be alone. Don't be alone is probably the biggest thing I can say, especially in that period.
100%.
Being on your own is the worst thing. You just overthink everything.
I'll always say this as well. Obviously, like you've played football, so I kind of relate to you a lot. Like obviously, but there's been times in my career like that I wanted to quit, bro. Like I've been sitting in the dark and stressed, and I was injured as well at the time. And I'm like, I phoned my agent, said, nah, I don't want to play football no more. I'm up here by myself and I want to quit. Do you know what I mean? So the reason why I'm so much more open and helpful, because I don't want no one to go through what I went through. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't want to see no youngsters wanting to quit football at 19. You ain't even started your career. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like because I've been through a lot in my career, I want to actually help people not go through these things. Being injured, getting dropped, getting released. Everyone deals with these situations different. Some people can take them, some people can't. And it's about knowing the person. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's checking on that person. Sometimes it's, as we say, we're men, so we don't even like speaking about certain things. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So even me, like, he's a bit not talking much today, and I'll kind of analyze like how everyone is and say, oh, you're right. Like, because it might take that for them to come, for them to start. But that's me at my age now. When I was young, I wasn't like this. When I was young, I was thinking about myself. I didn't think about anyone else. I was thinking about.
I was going to say, I actually think there's a point when I was like, why are they struggling with mental health? Like,
do you know what I'm saying? Like,
having those thoughts. Until you go through it, until you have a period where you're struggling yourself. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily say I was struggling that badly, but it was to a point where, like, you
still struggling.
Struggling. That's what I'm saying. And as I said, your
no level to
your struggle's not worse than my struggle. My struggle's not worse. We're struggling. Do you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I think that the nicest thing I think about everything, or it's getting to a point, and I still think there's improvement to make, is that people do have conversations now, which is a lot. And check up on people as well. Do you know what I mean?
So. I think so.
And like I said, there's still a way to go, but it's definitely a better environment.
Like, you don't know, like, what I've realised in life, not even football, in life, you don't even understand what a phone call could do for someone. Do you know how much phone calls I've had? And someone's told me something, I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know you was like... Do you get what I'm saying? Like, huh? Like, you was going through that? I didn't know that. Even people that's come on the podcast, like, I know these people, but some of the things they speak about, we don't... Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you don't know, like, people don't open up as much as maybe they want to, or they don't feel comfortable to speak. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's like having that, sometimes if you get that feeling that, oh, you know what, let me just phone them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because you don't even know like what that phone call could do. Do you know what I'm saying? That could make someone's day. You don't even know what they're going through or anything. So on the other hand, I think, maybe we can be proactive as well.
Did you ever have conversations with Jake? Like about mental health and well-being?
Even to this day,
yeah.
I laugh. I said this in his wedding speech. Well, I was obviously best man for Jake. I was almost his counsellor at times.
Yeah.
Because and he was for me, and he was probably a big part in it without realising. I think again because he's my best mate as much as he's my cousin. I think with best mates, I don't know what it is. You don't see that person as that, but I ring him every day, so he is without realising. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like you probably look at your mum and dad and think, I don't necessarily think I've ever got emotional with Jake.
Yeah.
There's a couple of times. He's been through a few things recently, but I would say that we talk about anything and everything within my life. So without realising, I think we're both each other's counsellors to that.
Which is brilliant.
It's
That's
good to have.
That's
100%.
very good.
It's very rare to have a cousin. I think, and I remember getting to the end of year 11. We went to school together. So we went. From,
wow.
We were always close. But it wasn't until like year 11 when I can't remember who it was who came up to us, and this is literally the day we were leaving. And someone just mentioned about us being cousins, and someone turned around and went, "You two are cousins?" I'm like, yeah. And I was like, "Oh, we just thought you were mates, like best friends." Like, no, we're actually family. And like, oh, it makes sense. And it was like, but that doesn't change the way we are.
Of course.
I mean, just because we're family doesn't mean we could
Yeah.
easily have been family and not been as close as we were. It's just the fact that we're obviously a similar age and loved doing the same things, so we're always really close. So and still after this day. So probably without realising, he always has been really a someone to talk to.
It makes me think as well, like, because I'm just thinking now, like, yourself and Jake had that cousinship.
Yeah.
Like, you was so close and everything like that. But then it makes me think about your dad and your uncles, kind of like their generation.
Yeah.
I wonder what like the changing room was like for them.
Yeah.
Because then if we're talking about, have you ever thought about that?
No,
Like, for example, like,
I mean, they do speak about it. Again, it's
it's
probably
different.
it's another step back. You'd class it as that.
yeah.
I think even that. I think even worse that there was the joking about things. Like you said, like Westy said, you're weak mentally if you have these feelings and you're feeling a certain way. I just don't. I don't understand why it was the way it was, and why that was a thing. But it is. It's good that it's coming out the other end of that. I do think so.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely better.
So can I ask then, for both of you then, do you kind of, and like I said, this is just probably looking for more of a football fan, and I'm not a footballer.
Yeah.
Can you kind of see maybe some reasons why you'll have some managers that are the older mentality that find it a bit difficult to
100%.
adapt to how this, and
bet
it's not them. Do you know what I mean?
I bet they've had to adapt. To be fair,
Yeah.
I think someone will speak out on something now, and it's good in a sense. But you have to then adapt to the way you talk and speak to people, and it's probably a lot different to the way it was back then. So I definitely think that must have been the case, and maybe some managers either thrived to adapt to that, and probably some then went the opposite way and didn't necessarily do as well after that point. But definitely changed.
I think, because I look at it from a manager's point of view as well. Never been a manager, by the way, but I'd look at it from a manager's point of view. Like, it's hard to be a manager. Remember, you got to take care of 21 players, you know?
Yeah.
Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's not easy to even be a manager. But you've got to take care of my emotions, his emotions. He's not playing. He's starting. His contract's running out. Like, it's a lot. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I know it's hard, but as I said, the best ones can do it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right, so my uncle's been a manager. Dad's had a spell at being a manager. Someone asked me the other day, well, that's obviously what you would like to do, isn't it?
No,
you wouldn't want it.
Impossible.
I don't want to do it. I honestly don't think, for the amount of hours, depending on where you are, obviously, if you're in the Prem, you're probably getting paid pretty decent whack to do it, but you never know when you're gonna not have
no
a job.
security. You do.
No security.
Managers don't have security now.
And like you just said, like actual the managing of players and how you're received now and what you may say can be almost held against you as well to a certain degree. And you have to be careful. You have to get it spot on now in terms of how you do deal with being a manager at a football club and even a coach.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily a well-paid job in the lower levels for what the amount of hours you put in, the amount of time you're away from your family. It's not easy. I've watched my dad. Like I said to you earlier, my dad was one of the best coaches I've come across, and he's always scrimped and scraped, and he's actually probably earning the most money he's ever earned now being a site manager for a roofing company. So it was always tough, if that makes sense. It's a tough job to do well in unless you're at a very good club.
Well, which leads us into the question I was going to ask now. So you said that you obviously work with your dad now. So talk to us about that and talk to us what you guys do.
This came about a year ago now. I had a friend in football to a certain degree because he sponsored a lot of clubs with the company. It was with its football trophies. So it's staying within sport.
Okay.
And it was a guy called Richard Baines who had a company down in Canterbury way. So dad's living that way now. But the aim is to kind of branch it out into the Kent area. But I've absolutely loved it, and without realising what really went into it. But we're basically a middleman. So we've got suppliers that we get trophies from. We then personalise. So for example, Westy comes to me and says,
I'm a client, by the way.
Westy comes to me with his academy and says, I need this amount of medals. I'll put Westy's badge ribbon onto a medal to then sell to him, obviously for him to use. So there's obviously different things that we do, like along the anything you can think of that people want, like glass.
Okay, brilliant.
So it's that sort of vibe. But it's been something that has really taken me away. It enables me to go away from football as well, which is good. Like, I take my mind off it. I've really enjoyed the business element to it in terms of speaking to people, getting out, trying to promote your business. It's something you then care about. Do you know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question. Who's the boss, you or him?
Has that gone full circle now?
Do you know what? I think because of... I'll go serious answer. I think he is... But I think what's really nice, and this is where I think the relationship's great between him and my dad, is that I think if I say something, I do feel like he listens.
He listens.
That's just great.
That's
just great to have.
Yeah, that's
brilliant. That's the best thing. Working with family isn't always a good thing.
Sometimes it's tough.
It's tough.
I know that.
But I think he's brilliant in the sense of he's so passionate about whatever he does, my dad. But I also then think I'm brilliant for him in the sense of keeping my feet on the ground and knowing when to do things. And I think it's a great little partnership. I do think it's going to work well, and it has worked well to this point. So,
really, really nice.
And the fact I've now got a little bit more time on my hands. I mean, we took over last year, and there was a period where football obviously is going to be big for us when it comes to the trophies. And obviously we do other sports, but football's massive in terms of the contacts that both my dad and I've got now. Between that period where football season comes to an end and there's presentations and all that, it was tough. I was at Boreham Wood at the time, so I'm full time. Dad's now full time with his jobs. He can't come away from that at the moment. It's not big enough, and we're looking to get to that point, but it's not big enough for us both to think it's going to be a full time wage. You could probably just about hold one of us at the moment. But we've not seen it in that sense. But we were literally, I'm 11 o'clock at night, but I've got training the next day, putting things together to make sure that, because it was so busy. So it has its, at the moment it's dead because that's Christmas period. There's not a lot that goes on in this time, but now once you get into the new year and you come February time, we start to get an order. I mean, just things come out of the blue. Like we had an order the other day from a school, which was wooden plaques, the ones that have little shields that go around the outside that you then engrave onto each one, and it's a huge order. We never even knew would be a thing. So it just comes out of the woodwork. We have a client base, which was nice because it wasn't a business that we just started up from scratch. So it was something that he'd been there 40 years, this guy. So we've now paid him off in terms of we paid for the business. So it's exciting. It's now we're into a period where we're earning our own money, and
nice.
It's going to be something we can look to build and make bigger.
Where can they find your company?
City Awards is the name of it, but I'm on social media with that as well. So it's attached to my Instagram, if that makes sense. So
definitely, we'll put it in the description for you, man.
Definitely,
that'd be great. And football's obviously probably where my passion is with it, but it goes out to all different things, and everyone needs a trophy, which is actually, which I didn't realise, nothing really supplements having having a trophy now. And now I am involved in it. You just see it all the time. You want a car that you want to get. You end up seeing that car
all the time.
All the time. It doesn't matter where I am now. I just say, someone's got a trophy. And where that trophy's come from, it's mad. So it's ended up turning into something quite passionate. It's going to be good. Or to
Josh,
building it up.
Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank
you
you
so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Before we leave, we always play a game, but I've got a question before we let you go.
Cool.
We always ask all of our guests this. What advice would you give to somebody that's struggling?
Talk to someone. It is that was it for me. Like I remember that just clicked, having a chat and getting emotional with my mum and dad at the time when I was struggling, and that moment then it just took it a complete, like I say, the weight that was on your shoulders just takes it away, and you restart and reset. And I feel like a lot of people would probably say talk to someone. I think that's that it's an easy answer, but it is especially someone that's close to you. I think that's someone that understands and really wants to help. I think that's key. Speaking to the right person, maybe if you want to go into more detail, and someone that really will care about what you're going through.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Josh, man. We appreciate you, man.
Right, before we let you go, though, Quizmaster time.
Okay.
Now, I've made this a little bit interesting, right? Well, I like to think it was interesting because I found all of these answers myself. I thought of the questions, right? But there's a little twist to it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to ask you 10 questions,
Right?
Yeah.
Right? But let me try and explain this correctly. The answer for each question going down for the 10 questions is going to spell Hornchurch. Right?
Okay.
So the first answer will begin with the letter H. The second answer.
What you say? You getting creative now?
Yeah, I'm getting creative. So I thought, obviously, we're here together, Hornchurch, so we're getting a little bit creative, right? So it's 10 questions, yeah? I have spelled Hornchurch right. There's 10 words, 10 letters, right? Yeah. Hornchurch is 10 letters. Yeah, I'm sure I got that right. All right, cool. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So
you're right.
Okay, cool. Right, let me
me
turn this around so that Miles can't see.
Why do you think I'm going to cheat? I'm not going to cheat.
Right. So now the answers as well. Now, let's say, for example, I might say it begins with H, but it might be the first name or the surname that links it to the letter. So it could be the first name might begin with H, or the second letter, the surname.
Okay.
So prime example, we'll start off very easy. Who is Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you know the first name is not, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
cool. Second question. Name the Premier League club, the ex-Premier League club that has played in the Premiership beginning with O.
The ex-Premier League we're talking about, yeah?
Ex-Premier League club, an ex-Premier League club that begins with the letter O.
I don't know why I had that down the table then, just in case Westy was...
Yeah.
I ain't got this one.
The only one.
I think I have.
Yep. Perfect.
Premier League. Wait.
X.
So 1992 Premier League.
That's absolutely correct. Right.
What?
Next question.
Oh, I ain't got that.
Might be wrong.
Which Brazilian forward won the Ballon d'Or in 2002 after starring in the World Cup? R.
2002.
Yeah, R. Think about it. R. Next question.
I don't know if this is true, but I think so. Let's go.
N, the next one. It's been Hornchurch, right?
Yeah.
Which Italian defender famously captained Italy to World Cup glory in 2006?
Okay. What? Wait.
Yeah, N.
Wait, can you read that question? I wasn't
Which
listening.
Italian defender famously captained Italy to the World Cup in 2006? Beginning with N.
Westy on the ropes, didn't it?
Yeah. Because I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
2006.
I know what you're thinking.
Kind of.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking
Yeah.
because I thought the same thing.
And it's not him.
Nope.
Oh my god. I don't know then. Oh, let me. I'm just gonna.
Next one.
I don't know.
Which London club plays their home game at Stamford Bridge?
Oh.
That was a nice one of you.
Right. H. I'm getting creative, Julius. Which meat can also be found in the name of an English football club? Beginning with H. Which meat can also be found in the name?
Okay.
See, I'm getting there. I'm
Penny
getting there.
dropped.
Yeah.
I was looking at Westy as that penny drop.
Okay.
Which Italian club?
Wait. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which Italian club is named Le Zebretti, or also known the Little Zebras?
What?
On you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Terrible.
Ready?
spelling. Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Which-
the right spelling
No,
either.
Which manager won the Premier League in 2016?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Premier League manager in 2016.
I got that.
Oh.
Yep. C. Which Scottish club has won the most league titles?
Oh man, wait. What? See? Oh, okay. Yeah.
And last but not least, which French goalkeeper won the World Cup in 2018?
And what was the last one?
H.
French goalkeeper.
That's correct.
Say again, sorry. I got 8 back. I got back to 8.
Which French goalkeeper won the World Cup in 2018?
And it's H.
Yeah, H.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got that.
Ding, 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 ding,
Struggle with 10.
bing,
Boy,
boom.
I said don't watch the spellings because some of the spellings are crazy.
There we go. We're
I
gonna
struggle
swap.
with 10, but you can cut.
We're gonna swap
I don't
over.
know the
Dash on that
zero.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Right.
Could be tight.
Number-
I think that 10
This is
could be
exactly the
important.
same.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
we got the same. We got the same answer.
First one, Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Second one, O, is Oldham Athletic.
Oh my god, I
Yeah.
guessed that as well.
Next one is Ronaldo.
Yep.
Real Ronaldo. Alessandro Nesta.
Oh my, I guessed that too because I was like, I thought that's Cannavaro.
Stamford Bridge is Chelsea.
Yep.
Which meat can be found is ham. West Ham United.
Yeah.
Udinese.
Yep.
Claudio Ranieri.
Yep.
Got that late.
Celtic.
Yep.
And Hugo Lloris.
Yep.
Westy nicked it.
Nicked
Was
it.
it? You nicked it at the
I
end.
love
Ah,
Hugo
you nicked it.
Lloris.
Yeah, is it Hugo
Killed me.
Lloris? Listen,
Love it.
Josh, thank you for coming on, brother.
Nah, I
thank
love
you
it.
so
Thank you,
much.
Josh, man.
Honestly,
So
we
good.
really appreciate you. Thank you for telling us your story, and thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable with us, I should say, in order to tell us. Once again, people, we're always obviously looking at how we support people. So obviously, you'll see some local charities. You'll see some charities that we've either recommended or worked with in terms of the Set Piece podcast. As we mentioned, we always want you to feel like you can speak to somebody. So please, if you are listening, you've seen anything, and you think to yourself, do you know what, this kind of affects me, have a think about who you can talk to, who your network is. Anything that we can help with, we can support, please do not hesitate to just reach out to us via DM or email. My name's Kerry Phillips,
My name is Miles Weston.
and this is the Set Piece podcast.
If you've been affected by anything discussed in this episode, we encourage you to seek support. Visit our mental health resources page at www.thesetpiecepodcast.com for help, guidance, and more information. Because when it comes to mental health, every mind deserves extra time.